Welcome to the Rosa Rhea podcast, where two sisters bring you behind-the-scenes audio chat about sex, love, and relationships, but mostly sex. We've been talking about how we've been kind of getting ghosted, we've been dating, we've been exploring, and now it's like, how are things going with that? Have you been on any new dates? Have there been any new developments with guys that you've been dating? Any good stories?
Lots of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of challenges, to be honest. Even on Tinder still. And communication is always hard, I swear to God. So, we follow this Instagram account that always posts these Tinder nightmares, right?
Oh, yeah. Do you mean Super Jaded?
Yeah, Super Jaded 2017.
How do you feel about Super Jaded?
I don't know. I mean, she's super jaded.
Well, I mean, isn't it just like screenshots of lots of different people, or is it her responding?
It's like people submitting DMs and what have you. But I get that all the time. I'm constantly get these guys who just, hey, you're hot, like one-liners, talking about my body, not asking anything interesting about my personality, not asking me out on a date, not asking anything really, just telling me I'm hot or whatever. And another, like, here's an example. A guy I was talking to, he was talking how he had this huge dick. And I was like, oh, wow, that's like really, because he had seen our video on YouTube, and I talk about, go check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. But we talk about sex toys, and I bought literally, the hugest dildo I could find. It's 8 inches, which is huge, like very large. And he was telling me after seeing the video that his dick was 9.5 inches. And girthy, and and I literally had just met this, like, just started chatting with him. This was like instant.
Not even like my name is
exactly nothing, nothing, just straight into it. Yeah. And I was like, okay, like I'll see where this goes. So I was like, you know what? He's like, I have this 9-inch dick. Would you be interested in checking it out, or playing with it, or whatever? I don't know what he said.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'll humor him. So I wrote him back, and I was like, you know what? I'm definitely curious about your huge dick, like, because I totally was. But just so you know, like, a really good dick isn't the only important thing for me. I need to make sure that if I'm going to be having sex with someone, that our communication is going to be 100%, that I'm going to feel safe. That we're going to, like, everything's going to be, like, we're going to have adult conversations about it prior to doing it, And he's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, text me, and put his number, like, sent me his number. And then I was in the middle of doing something, so I didn't reply right away. And then when I went back to go text him, he had unmatched me.
Oh,
so all the messages were gone. And, like, he was disappeared off the face of the earth.
Okay.
So there's an example of, like, you have to be very cautious, right? It's like he wants to do stuff. We always talk about this. It's like people want to do these things that are super adult, yet they don't want to behave like an adult in any way.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
And, like, so I've been, like, doing a lot of talking to strangers. Like, I updated my Tinder and my Bumble. Like, I was like, I'm interested in meeting new people, and I really do want to hear from people. I love talking to new people, especially people who feel comfortable to talk to me because they know about the podcast and stuff. It's awesome. But I think that what I notice, like, over and over is I think it's like a guy's kind of like it's a test almost when they give you their number. Because a lot of guys did that. They're like, oh, maybe we didn't match on Tinder, but they, like, DM me on Instagram, and they're like, here's my number. And, like, if you don't text them, that's, like, to them a sign that you're not really that into it or something. Well, I'm just assuming this, but, like, I noticed it over and over that guys are giving me their number, and it's like, we're already talking on one platform. Like, what is the difference to text? Honestly, I like Instagram better almost because you can see if they've read the message. And if they haven't, you don't have to be stressing, did they read it? What are they doing? It's like they read it and they haven't responded yet, or they haven't read it yet. So with texting, to me, it's like more of a mystery. But plus, I literally get the same thing out of both. So I think the only reason that guys are saying, oh, here's my number, is because they want to see if you'll actually text them. And
Yeah.
if you do, it's like, oh, that's like some kind of solidification that it's not just like blowing air out of my mouth and I actually want to like meet you, or I don't know.
I thought that for like a brief instant that perhaps he just thought, oh, well, she didn't take the bait right away, so I'm over it.
Yeah, but which is perfect anyways, because you literally were like, let's communicate. Yeah. And then he ran away.
That's right. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, yeah. And like, I just people are busy. Like I was in the middle of doing something, so I didn't have a chance to text him right away.
Yeah. And speaking of running away.
Yeah. So I've had quite a few. So I've decided, like, I always have felt that guys were a little bit afraid of me. And like, I talk about it a lot with Rosa, and I got proof a couple days ago. So we had talked about ghosting in a previous episode. I had been having sex with a guy and been enjoying it. And then all of a sudden, one time he said he was going to come over, and then he didn't. He bailed on me. And then we did a little bit of texting and then nothing. I texted him one time and called him one time, no answer and no text back. And then like no communication. So fast forward like a month later or a few weeks or whatever to now. And I'm sitting at a coffee shop and I see him walking up the street. And I'm like, oh my God. And
like, does he see you?
So he's wearing sunglasses.
Ooh.
And I can tell that he sees me because I'm very like visible, but he's going to try and walk right by me. Also, this is not like a boy. This is a 6'4" man, okay? So I don't know why he would be afraid. But anyways, he's planning on walking right by. But I'm like, oh, I say his name. I'm like, hi, like... And he starts walking towards me. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh, like I say a comment. I'm like, oh my fucking God, I'm so mad at you or something because you haven't called me. And he literally turned around and ran away.
That's quite the pivot.
I was like... And then so I texted him and because I was like, that was what just happened there. Like, I can't, this is... And I was like, why did you just run away from me? Is it because you know that you didn't call me? Like, are you afraid? Like, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
And then he sent me this text. He's like, oh, I met someone else. I didn't know how to tell you, and I thought you would be a psycho about it.
Whoa.
So I just didn't say anything at all. Mm. So I was like, oh my God, like this is so bizarre because I thought our communication was 100, right?
Well, yeah, especially because you guys had been doing some like adult bedrooms play that went beyond P and V missionary sex.
That's right. We were having a relationship that I wasn't catching feelings. This wasn't someone I was looking to be my boyfriend or anything like that. And we certainly weren't exclusive. This was like more of a play thing. Like we would just hang out and we had similar interests in the bedroom.
Yeah, and like you were under the impression that he was on the same page as you as far as like we're grown-ups and we're respecting each other.
Yeah.
And he thought that you were going to be a psycho because you couldn't handle if...
And I was like, so then
I know. He told you straight to your face, honestly, that he had met another person.
That's right. And so, and then I thought, I got reactive at first, and I was like, you know what? It's his, like, why? It's his behavior that causes these reactions from women. They're not being psycho.
Yeah.
They're not psychos, you know?
I mean, everyone's worried that, like, they're going to upset somebody and have to deal with their emotions, right?
Exactly.
I think that's what being called a psycho is. It's like, you know what? You've stirred up some emotions in me from treating me poorly, and now you might have to deal with them. Like, and I think that when I, like, say in the past, I have acted like a psycho, it's because I was like, no, you need to deal with these emotions with me. You need to know how you've affected me. And so I put them right in the guy's face. And whether or not a guy thinks that's psycho or whatever, the truth is that you were together in something. This is both of your stories that's occurring to the both of you together, right? You're sleeping together, dating, whatever it is. If you stir up those kind of emotions in another person, it's okay to help them deal with it. You don't need to be afraid of those things, and you don't need to like brush it off as if they're a psycho. Because you know what? At the end of the day, all emotions fade. It's, they come and go, and the kindest thing is to acknowledge and, help the person move on in whatever way that is, not dismiss them. And that's just assuming that they are going to put those emotions in your face. A lot of people deal with their emotions on their own if the relationship's over. And 100% Rhea, if a guy that she was respectful with said to her, you know what? I don't know how you're going to react to this, but I met another girl and I want to pursue it. And so I hope that you're okay with that, but I don't want to see you anymore. Rhea would be like,
fine.
She'd be like this.
Yes, exactly. I would be like, way to go.
A polite round of applause.
Yeah.
Because that's the most respectful thing you can do is be honest.
Yes.
When it's scary. And that's not even really that scary. Like, especially if you have been doing like other adult stuff in the bedroom, like.
Well, it's very challenging. I mean, everyone has a hard time. I think even us, we're the most direct people out there, but being direct with someone is always going to be a challenge. But if you can do it, it's the only way to go. It's the only gentle, kind thing to do to someone. When you think you're protecting someone by not being direct with them, you're doing the wrong thing. You're actually hurting people. When you're stringing them along, pretending that you like someone when you don't, even maybe living with someone for years when you don't even really like them. Yeah. Okay? I mean, there's so many different things.
There's a lot of levels to it,
There's many different levels.
So I was saying to Rhea, like, the best way to practice it is through these little conversations with someone you don't have feelings for, but that it turns out in life the series of events have taken it to the point where you do have to be a little honest with them. Like, hey, guess what? I met someone else. I don't want to sleep with you anymore, or maybe not as often because I'm going to focus my energy on this other person. In this grand scheme of things, that's not on like a big conversation, that's maybe it'll be slightly challenging for 30 seconds. But at the end of the day, it's good to practice that kind of smaller conversation so that when you end up in a position where you are living with someone or that person's in love with you and there have been feelings and you've already had a series of these smaller conversations and you've grown this practice of being really direct, then the harder ones, you have this arsenal of confidence behind you, knowing that you've been direct in the past and it's worked in your favor. Because once you get to those bit higher levels, it is a scary conversation. You want to have that experience behind you. So you got to practice it in the small ways. Even like, I don't know, if you get you order something at dinner and it's the wrong food. Like, excuse me, this is not what I ordered. You might upset someone. You might be afraid. There might be all types of stuff going through your head. But that's a tiny little way to practice being direct. Yeah. I mean, it's all throughout your life. If that's like the goal that you have is to build this directness, then you have to do it all the time. And it's okay. You can do it in a polite way. And I'm obviously learning that. We've had to learn that through our lives. No matter what, if I've dated a guy and then at the end it didn't work out, but he was honest with me, I will never say a bad word about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I have emotions.
Yeah.
But once they pass and once like the air is cleared, I'll look back and say, you know what, that guy was really fucking honest with me. And I really appreciate that. And I don't have anything bad to say about him. Yeah. But now this other guy that, ran away from Rhea, she's not going to have anything good to say about him because he at the end of the day, he wasn't honest or direct. Yeah. And she had to pull it out of him. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I really like that tip that you have. I think that's like a really good advice. I'm going to use that in my own life. Just doing it in very small doses because then it's actually something that you might feel comfortable with. And actually, I practice that on Tinder, right? So I did that with that guy in a very small way, right? Yes. You can practice that every day on Tinder and Bumble. So every time you get a message from a guy, you can test your directness with him and your boundaries and set the boundaries right away and see how he takes it. You know what I mean? And they might take it well and they might not, like some of the guys that I've dealt with. But at least you're practicing saying what your boundaries are, saying what makes you feel safe and comfortable, and then you can sort of maybe try it in real life next time.
Yeah.
And the other important reason, especially when you live in a city like Vancouver, okay?
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Vancouver is a small town. It is crazy.
It's like 18 people live here.
You know, you can go out a whole lifetime without being direct in a big city like London or New York because you'll never see the people you ghost again. But in Vancouver, you're going to see them every second day.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's another good reason to be direct is because you're going to run into them. So you might as well be on good terms with them, right?
Yeah,
And
you don't have to give them a hug and say hi, but you can a polite wave or eye contact. Hey, how's it going? Keep walking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
you're
not
gonna
feel
see these
bad about
people.
them because if you're direct, then that's fine. But then when you start running away from people, then it gets awkward, right?
Yeah, because
I don't know.
I've never run away from someone, but I can't imagine that would like be a good part of your day if you have to run away from someone.
Especially me, like I'm really not that big of a person. Like I'm really strong, but I'm very small.
Oh man. I mean, yeah, that directness, like I had to this guy that was messaging with me, we hadn't like made any plans to meet up or anything, but he was getting really into talking to me, and I was feeling generous that day, so I gave him my number. And then I went to work, and he was texting me at work. In the morning, he texted me again. It was like every 2-hour intervals, texting. And then he messaged me on Instagram. Like, as if I didn't see the text and as if I had a separate phone for Instagram, right?
So, okay, let me get this straight.
Texting.
He was texting you?
Yes.
And on Instagram.
And then when I didn't respond in the kind or as fast as he expected me to, he Instagram messaged me, like going like back to where we had originally spoken. And then I said to him, "Did you just message me on 2 different apps?" I said, and then I just simply said, "You know what? It's been really nice chatting with you, but this isn't actually the connection I'm looking for, so take care."
Yeah, way to be direct, Rosa.
Because
that's fantastic.
I honestly, and I felt a little bad because you know what? Like I do enjoy talking to people, but that really, like for me, moving forward, that's ridiculous to me. I can't have people, if I don't respond and then you continuously message me and I've never met you before and I have no plans to meet you, that's not gonna work for my life.
Yeah, that's too much messaging. That's too much.
And
Pump the
some
brakes,
people might
dude.
like it.
No one likes that.
But I also have this curiosity, which I want to always be curious. I also have this curiosity about what is driving that man, right? Is it insecurity? Is it horniness? Is it desperation for connection? Does he have friends? Like, is it just that he has a lot of time on his hands and he loves texting lots of girls? Because Ray and I have been really exploring, being compassionate that, men feel insecure and vulnerable just as women do, and giving men a chance, giving them that extra chance to reach out to us or not being so harsh. But there are going to be boundaries that are immediately deal breakers for me. And like, say I'm at work all night till 3:00 in the morning, and then at 9 a.m. I don't answer your message, and you message me on fucking Instagram 2 hours later, being like, and then say, "I just didn't message you on Instagram. Did you get it?" Like, guys, that's too much.
Well, Rosa, that happens to me every day. I mean, I had a guy, here's another tale. I could go on and on. How long is this podcast going to be about Tinder?
Tinder tales.
I had a guy messaging me on Tinder that I matched with. We were on the texting. We had gotten to the texting phase. We'd exchanged phone numbers. Do you want to hang out on this certain day? Yes. If someone says, I always say yes. So I've told you guys this before. If a guy asks me out, I feel comfortable, I'm going to say yes. So I committed to going out with him. He texts me, I can't meet up with you. Then what does he do? Starts going on in my Instagram and commenting on my stories. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, like heart eyes.
Messaging
cute.
me on Instagram.
Yeah. Like back to
no
the Instagram.
more texting anymore. He hasn't texted me since he said that he can't hang out with me.
Okay. So there's like a difference here. It's like, okay, well, a part of it is if you comment on someone's Instagram story, I don't always expect a response.
No.
So it feels way more removed than a text message to me.
Yes, it is.
So
it is.
he's gone backwards.
That's right. It is way more removed.
He does not want to meet up with you anymore.
He just wants to comment on my stories.
Maybe he just wanted to see if he could meet up with you, but then he got scared.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, maybe I just want to see if she'll even say yes.
And this guy was even bigger than the last guy. So I don't think size has anything to do with it.
Size and gender has nothing to do with it.
No.
And also, I mean, I tell you this all the time, Rhea, you can't make blanket statements.
I know. That's
Guys
horrible.
are not afraid of you. It's okay if people are afraid, or I'll give an example. You know, we're always talking about, like, tell a guy what you want, and, you know, it's, for me, it's really sexy to text and plan it out. So I was like texting with this guy. I was like, I want you to fuck my ass. Like, I can't wait. Like, sending him all these videos. And then when the day came to do it, I was like, fuck, I don't want to get fucked in the ass today. But I felt like I had, like, built it up to the point where I'd be letting him down if I met up with him and he didn't fuck my ass. But maybe I just, like, I just wanted to eat a burger and go to bed that night or watch Netflix, right? I didn't want to, like, have crazy, wild sex and do stuff that I had never done before. I wasn't feeling that adventurous anymore. So I bailed. And, I mean, we actually, it ended up that both didn't work out for us. And maybe he was feeling that way too, but neither of us were really that direct. We were kind of just like, too tired. And it could be that some of the guys that are bailing on you, it gets really sexy. You have this really sexy, hot conversation about the stuff that you want to do. And then when it actually comes to doing it, it's scary. And it's like, it's almost just easier to say fuck it and leave it in your imagination. Or, you know, just take the road most traveled, which is Netflix and chill on your couch.
Definitely. I think that's a big part of it, too. I think also people are nervous that I have a lot of expectations when it comes to sex, right? And guys have even said this to me. They think, oh, she's going to have all these, I'm going to have to come over to her place and I'm going to have to perform at a certain level, which is exactly what you were describing. And that can be very overwhelming for anybody. I totally get that. But it's just a misunderstanding because I don't need any level. I would love a guy, honestly, and guys would never do this. It's just to come over and cuddle me. You know, and I would love that.
Too.
I would fucking die for that, right?
Yeah.
That's an SOS, you guys.
But I don't know. I think the part of that is that what we were just talking about is like a guy makes an assumption like that, and I do that. I do the same thing. That assumption that like we're gonna catch feelings or we're gonna feel a certain way or act a certain way if you engage in that intimate kind of behavior, like cuddling.
Maybe
only.
that's why you can in New York, pay someone to cuddle you.
Yeah.
Because maybe that's the only way that you can do it.
Well, when you include intimacy in a relationship that's just friends with benefits or no strings attached sex, for me it can get complicated. So like what I try to do is if I'm really enjoying sex with somebody, I won't cuddle them because I don't want to get feelings for them, because then for me in my head it complicates things. I'm like, just kind of get neurotic about things, and I don't want that. I want to just have a body-to-body connection and be on the same page as someone about like I'm giving them what they want, they're giving me what I want. But at the end of the day, sometimes it is nice to get cuddled, and why does it have to be so complicated to add that kind of intimacy? And you know what? It's like me just making it complicated. That's what it is.
Yeah, I know.
And I think we all do that.
Yeah.
We all make things really complicated by like assuming things.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Totally.
it's not crossing any boundaries. I'm sure guys would love to cuddle with me.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's making those boundaries.
Yeah. And I think, that's exactly it. At the end of the day, my needs are much simpler than what people assume they are to be. And I don't know if I need to communicate that better to people, or it's just it's going to be, people are always going to make assumptions and all that. You just have to work through it. but it can be very tricky.
Because I was kind of saying that a lot of people, they get scared, even me, and we take the road most traveled. We just like do what's worked in the past, which is Netflix and chill, or we kind of crave just like the normalcy, because we are confident that that works. And so that kind of, I always call this like an MO when it comes to guys. And there's MOs when it comes to getting a girl off, and dating, first date MOs. And Ray and I have been discussing this a lot because it really interests me, especially like when a guy says he's like going down on you, and you're like, I could tell that this worked for another girl in the past. And he's kind of like going at it full, and he's looking at you like, are you ready to come? And you're like, literally, no, I'm not even, what are you doing? Right? So I think that a lot of people do what has worked for them in the past, and they don't take that extra step to actually get to know the person that they're interested in, right? And this doesn't have to be dating. It doesn't have to be like so you're falling in love with someone. This is literally like get to know her pussy. Or I want to get to know a guy's dick. I've said lots of times I love sucking dick. I don't do it the same for every guy. I get to know what he likes by, the cues that happen. The same thing with sex. Like, you can see what a person is liking and what they're not liking. Say the last guy you fucked, to get him to come, you'd say, oh, yeah, daddy, don't stop. Or I don't know, right? And that would always work for him. The next guy, if you do that, it's going to look very weird to him. He's going to be like, I can tell that you got another guy off doing this. And whether that bothers him or not, it's just that you're not paying the attention to that person, right?
Yeah. Very, very important to pay attention and be present with the person that you're with, because it's not going to work every time the same way, whether it's dating or what have you. And I roll my eyes constantly when I go out on first dates, even with guys, because they're doing this MO bullshit all day long. Just, I can tell they're using the same lines that they used to pick up women before, and it worked for them. Examples being talking about money. That's huge.
Yeah, like leading with the money.
Leading with the money is a huge MO. And that happened, like, I mean, I'm just looking at the guy, I'm like, I couldn't care less, but for it could be an insecurity as well, right?
Yeah, I've called guys out before for leading with their money. For me, and I've heard the story before, women who I've spoken with who did a lot of Tinder dating, guys would like insist on picking them up, even though she didn't feel comfortable with him knowing where she lived, because it's a fucking stranger. He'd be like, no, I'll pick you up. He shows up in a Maserati. She's like, okay, well, this explains why you wanted to pick me up and drive me 3 blocks to drinks at Blue Water Cafe, because you wanted me to see that you own a Maserati.
Do the guys do the MO because it works?
Yes, that's why. What I'm saying is it comes across to me like the easy way out.
Yeah, well, it's very impersonal.
Right, but it does go to the vulnerability of, feeling like insecure. It does go to, well, I really want this to work out, so I'm going to do what's worked before. And it could be coming from a place where a man wants the girl to feel like she had a really special time. And maybe he took another girl on a date and the girl was like, responded so well to it. And she felt, wow, I felt so special. Thank you for doing this. He's going to like, I'm going to fucking, and at the end of the day, she fucked him, right? So it's like,
so he got rewarded.
So it's the reward. So it's she felt really special. She sucked my dick, or she let me fuck her, and we had a great time. So it's like, why wouldn't I recreate that every time? And it's like, well, you don't just add water. You don't just add a girl to that experience and then get it again, right? Because that's really impersonal, and it's very surface level. And the dating thing is one thing, because I think a lot of people will have different opinions about that. But when it comes to sex, this is without emotion. This is just every pussy and every dick is different. Every desire is different. You can't just go through a revolving door of pussy and do the same things to them. Maybe you have a cool move that works on a lot of women, and that's awesome. You should use it if you have experienced, that woman has experienced lots of pleasure. But if you use it, make sure she actually likes it. Not like, what, all women love it when I do that. Or, it's like, no, but I'm a different person than the last person you fucked. And one of the best ways that I learned this is there's this website called omgyes.com, and it's a lot of women who masturbate in front of the camera, showing the different ways that they like to get off. So one lady, like, you couldn't even touch her clit. It was too sensitive. Another lady, like, her clit getting tapped. So they would all show the camera what they liked, basically. Yeah, so every girl has a different way of coming. And this is why my newest challenge to myself is, and to anyone else who would be interested in trying this, is if you do have a partner, a sexual partner, masturbate in front of them while they watch. Like, that's kind of like my newest fantasy that I came up with, but it's also very, like, effective and letting them learn what gets you off. Because it could be really, really different than the last person that they fucked.
And be clear, Rosa, when you do this exercise, you have to do it the way that you would do it. You can't do it right.
Oh, yeah. Don't act like a porn star.
Yes.
Don't be exactly yourself.
That's right. You have to do it in a way that's exactly yourself. And I think that I didn't realize what you said about the women masturbating or having sex with themselves in all these different ways. I honestly didn't realize that until I started watching more amateur porn, because the kind of porn that I was watching was a lot of people just filming themselves masturbating. And you're exactly right, is that every person's different. And even guys masturbate in different ways.
Yes.
And it's not just women. And everyone's sensitivity is different. Like, for me, I'm looking on these girls who on the internet, and they're using vibrators that are literally shaking their whole bodies. And for me, you know, the lowest setting of my vibrator is too intense.
Yeah.
So every woman and every pussy, every dick, they're all different. You need to learn about that specific person that you're with. Yeah. And it's really, really important to figure that out.
And like, it doesn't, and because I spoke with this with my friend, and he was like, kind of assuming that I meant like getting to know the human being, and that makes the sex better. I'm not saying that. It's like so much more satisfying when you get to know how like they like their dick stroked, or what positions they're more into, what gets them off. Like, that's very gratifying to know that, because then you know that they're satisfied, and you also feel that much more comfortable to share what you are into with them at the same time. This is always going to be the theme, right? The more permission you give the other person to have a good time, the more permission you get yourself, basically, or vice versa. And that is so important.
Yes. And another thing that you can do, an idea that I had, because I know, like, even me personally, because I felt this, like, especially if you don't know yourself very well, actually masturbating or having sex with yourself in front of a person can make you feel a little bit shy. It can be.
I did a poll on Instagram about this, and some people said, "Oh, that's a good idea," and some people were like, "I am way too shy."
Yeah, it's because you're vulnerable, right? And because it's a very private thing, and you may have never really shown people how you do masturbate. Maybe it's kind of taboo to you. Maybe it feels different or something. But I thought another way that you could do it, and this is something that made me feel more and more comfortable, is like you can be at home by yourself with your iPhone and just make a video of you masturbating with no face in it, just your private parts. So you don't even necessarily know who it is, just showing how you're doing it. And then you can send it to your partner. And that way there's like maybe a little bit of separation. I don't know, maybe it makes you feel more comfortable, maybe it doesn't, but that might be another option too. Very hot.
Yeah, but don't send it to the wrong person.
Don't. Yeah, because
Have you done that before?
Close.
I've come so freaking close to doing that, dude.
To family members. Yeah, like it gets crazy.
You really need to
be very cautious.
Don't just press send right away. Just take a second.
Yeah.
Who am I sending this to? No, seriously though, because you cannot unsend that shit.
I know.
And oh man, you could really fuck shit up in your life, right?
Yeah, you gotta be really careful.
And I have come close a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, having said this now, it's like next episode's gonna be like, so.
Yeah.
Let me tell ya.
Yeah. Please, that's very good advice, actually. You make the video, send it, but take that extra moment to make sure you're sending it to the right person.
Yeah, and I mean, the reason why I'm like such a big proponent of this is because if you do have an MO, it is pretty obvious. Like, as a guy, if you're just like doing the same thing and the only difference is the different girls that you're doing them with, and you're doing the exact same thing every single time, like, you're kind of a lazy lion then.
Oh, big time
Right?
lazy lion. So unattractive.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
God.
just as much as you want a woman to put effort in for you, it's very attractive if you put effort in for a woman. Like, customize the date. And it's like, you don't have to overthink it. It doesn't have to be something crazy. And if you do have something that you enjoy doing with a girl, then that's fine, do it. But the expectation that it's going to go the exact same way and the girl's going to, fuck you no matter what, it's like, slow your roll, because that's kind of lazy and boring,
Yeah.
and it's very obvious.
Yeah, it's very obvious, it's very boring, and it's tiresome. And I honestly, there's only so many nice dinners I can go on.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no, come on.
Yeah, I can only go to Blue Water Cafe so many times. It's like...
But and you know what? I'm very aware, like, Ray and we're not super jaded, but we are in, this week, we are in a place where, we've been putting the effort into getting to know guys, and we're getting a lot of influx of messages, but it's not really going very well.
No, and we're struggling,
You know?
we're struggling just as much as everyone else. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's really the bottom line here. It's never going to be easy.
And we might have a better week next week.
But I have a clear conscience. I've been 100% honest with people. Like, I've been 200% honest with people. Maybe 500% honest.
Full on.
So I have been upfront with people. I have a completely clear conscience. I'm going straight to heaven. But
That's good.
it's not an easy road all the time, right? Because
and I'm sure you guys can tell, we're a little bit, there are some frustrations that come up when you are, like, talking to a lot of guys, meeting a lot of guys, trying to plan dates with a lot of guys. I definitely have found them, because that's the thing. It's like you find these things happening over and over and over. Like, for like what I was saying with here's my number, text me, or all the texting, all the demand for the texting, like, constantly when you finally do connect with a guy, or like, when you do go on a date, you can tell that they're either bragging about their money because they think you are into a lot of money, or they're using a date that they know worked on another girl, or when you do get into the bedroom with someone and they're just wagging their tongue along down there and expecting you to come. So yeah, I'm feeling like a little frustrated this week, but hopeful too. Like, I know there's so many good guys out there. I know there are, and you kind of I'm just waiting. I'm wading through it right now.
Yeah, and
waiting.
and I feel the same way, Rosa. I always try and listen. Rosa has a lot of good advice for me. And when I feel these moments, we always just have to go back to the self-care. I think that really helps women, because I think this is common amongst women, right? Where you're never really getting what you need sometimes, right?
Yeah. Well, guys too. That's the
and
thing.
guys too. Yeah,
They're not getting
every
what they
person.
want. It's very hard, because another thing is, like, what I want is changing all the time.
I know, and it's like, that combined with one person not being able to fulfill everything, right? That's the other thing. One person can't do all these things. So I have to fill in the gaps. I have to do the self-care. It's hard to remember that. Often I put my self-care last. I don't do any
And
stuff.
self-care is not vanity.
No.
It's not vanity. It's so important to make yourself feel good.
And sexy,
it's
right?
It's very good for your self-esteem.
Yeah, you have to. You have to put yourself first, because otherwise no one else is going to. You're alone in the world, you guys.
Yes.
Right? We're all alone.
Say that again.
So you have to put yourself first, because no one else is going to do that.
Yeah.
There's
but
not a
if
person.
people do see you putting yourself first, they will put you first.
Yeah.
Right? They'll put you as a priority because they know that you respect yourself. I mean, we can go so much deeper than this, but that is a very universal truth. When you see other people respecting themselves, you want to respect them.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, inevitably you're going to push people away, but those people don't deserve to be in there anyways, right? When you start respecting yourself and people can't handle that, they're going to sort of go, and you'll be kind of sad or whatever. Maybe I call it guys being afraid of me, but maybe it's just me setting my boundaries and then them not able to handle it, right?
Yes.
That could be another thing.
Yeah, that's a very beautiful part of like maturing and growing, is when you set your boundaries about what you're willing to put up with. You do lose people, and that part of that is experiencing that grief for leaving that person behind that you were, who was willing to put up with whatever the fuck.
Yes.
And also leaving the people that you thought were, going to be in your life, that it's like, actually, you know what? You're not going to be in my life anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a big step, and once you can like accept that and move forward, like I think that's what everyone's going through. I think that's very normal for people our age and in our part of life, and our like position in life. That's exactly what they're going through, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. So I think it is important that we talk about it, and I love hearing if anyone out there listening right now is going through that. I love hearing your feedback too, because it's hard to feel. It's hard. Right? You were saying the other thing, or you're saying you're alone in this world.
Yeah.
It is. It's like, it's hard to feel alone in this world, but the more struggles I go through, the more grateful I feel, because I know for a fact that everybody else is going through it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So you feel alone, but you also feel connected to every other human.
Yeah, exactly.
And let me just say one more thing, because about the lazy lions and the guys who do have an MO that's kind of lazy. On the flip side of that, there are guys who want to be the masters of pleasing you, right? They really do. They want to know every way you come, and they will encourage you to show them. And a lot of guys who I've talked to, who I haven't fucked, who just have been giving me feedback, have said this, that they're like, I want to learn everything about her clit and her pussy and how she comes. Where are these
guys? Where are they?
I mean, well, some of them have girlfriends right now, so I'm just waiting till they are single.
Okay.
To try them out and see if that's real.
Guys around.
But they're all, like, also, I want to be the master of pleasing a guy, but you could be shy about it, right?
Yes.
So just because a guy's a lazy lion doesn't mean that he can't eventually become the master of pleasing you.
Yes. And women need to do the same thing for their men. You have to, we talked about cock worshipping. That's an extreme version, but it's very important. You can do mini versions of that where you really get to know your partner's dick, and you find out what he likes. Maybe he wants you to lick his butthole. Maybe he wants you to,
yeah. What about licking buttholes? Yeah. Have you done it?
Well, I haven't really done a lot of it until recently.
But the guy that he likes it?
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, if a guy says to me, I really want you to lick my butthole, then I'm going to fucking do it. You know what I mean? But he's got to be comfortable enough to say that to me. Otherwise, I'm never going to know.
Yes. You're not just going to go down there with your tongue.
I'm never going to just go down there.
Yeah.
I'm never.
That is
right?
such a good point,
And
Rhea.
I can't read his mind. But the second that he tells me that he does want that, I'm going to fucking go deep, dude.
Yes.
And he's going to go to Pleasureville. So high five to all the guys out there and the women that have been communicating their needs and getting great orgasms.
Totally. Yeah. Because that's our MO.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to hear from my the fans that we have and our listeners that are girls. Like, I have very long fake nails. Can I put that in a guy's? Rosa says I can scrub my nails, but do I just that seems that
this is what you do, Rhea.
What do porn stars do?
Take your advice or our advice. Put it in your own butt and see what happens.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not doing it.
Then don't put it in another guy's butt.
Yeah. So my basically, I have
had long
fingers.
nails for 10 years, and I have put my finger in guys' butts, and it was fine.
Okay.
Sometimes there was poo in there when I took my finger out.
Oh my!
Because it's a butthole.
Yeah, that's very.
And I just went in and washed my hands like a normal person.
Okay.
Every time. This is the advice. If you play with fire, you're going to get burnt. If you put something in a butt, 1 time out of 100, 1 time out of 1,000, 1 time out of 2 times, there's going to be poo on your fucking finger or whatever you put in there.
Yeah, you're
right. It's like, you can't avoid it.
Yeah, it's
and maybe you could avoid it for 10 years, but on the 11th year, right? It's like... you have to be willing to be comfortable enough because it's worth the pleasure, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I haven't put my fingers in my butt ever. So I don't know.
if you really, and okay, so this is one of the main reasons. I mean, I know I talk on and on about this. This is one of the main reasons why I did start playing with my own butt, is because I genuinely wanted to see if there was going to be poop when I took the dildo out.
Oh, before butt sex.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's way more comfortable if I look down and I've been having sex with a dildo in my butt and I look down and there's poop. I don't care. I'm just there by myself. It's not embarrassing.
So you do that prior to the guy coming over?
No. I'm I've just been doing it just because I'm curious.
Right.
And because it feels good.
Okay.
But it has boosted my confidence so much because there is never poo on there. And this is like if I'm very turned on and I want to like have a good time with myself. Like I said, shower, so dildo on the side of the wall, vibrator. So it's
waterproof vibrator?
Yeah, always. Don't buy a vibrator unless it's waterproof. Let me just tell you that right now. That is a thing of the past.
Okay, I'm living in like 1950s right now.
Yeah, yours just like plugs in. So yeah, and then I just like to like have, I don't know, I just think it's really hot to have something in your butt. And I fantasize that it's a guy. And then I see how much my butt can take. Because I've dated guys who have big dicks. And I'm like, you could never put it in there. It's so big. Like, because I didn't feel comfortable with them, right?
Yeah.
And then I did it with my dildo and it was fine.
Yeah.
It's just because I needed to be in complete control. So I said this in episode 1 first. You tell the guy to stay fucking still. Pretend they are exactly. A dildo. Now I'm repeating myself, but I really do believe in that.
Well, that was good advice. Very important advice for women.
Because you can realize how big or how much your butt can take.
Yeah.
And, I got the best tip ever from a guy who does butt sex a lot. He said it's a very nice etiquette tip if you are going to have butt sex to pre-lube the hole so they can just slide it in. Think about that. So they're coming over, and you guys are going to have a play session, and it's going to include anal. Maybe you've done a douche or not, whatever it is. If you need to anal douche,
my eyes are huge right now. You guys, just go continue.
Because the original question that I was asking him was tips on anal douching, and we're going to do a whole episode on that, and we'll get into that later. But the final step of that process was you take some lube on your finger and you lube the inside of your butthole so that it's ready to go inside and outside.
Before he even comes over.
Yes. So when he doesn't have to like reach for the lube. It's fucking pre-lubed. Isn't that nice?
Wow.
I think that's a really nice gesture.
If I get there one day, I'm going to give myself a round of applause for that.
I'm always looking for little ways that I can like just be really nice and like thoughtful for people and considerate, especially in the bedroom, right?
There's nothing more considerate than pre-lubing your butthole.
That is what I'm saying.
Maybe gay guys do that all the time.
Well, that's
chime in.
He is gay. He is gay.
Oh, so that's like a...
Yeah, I went obviously to the gay source.
Okay.
Of all things.
Oh, so he knows it all.
Yes, he knows it all.
Oh, my goodness.
And so he said, this is a very nice tip that you can do. You don't have to go reach for the lube the dick up. I mean, you can, but you could just like suck it a little bit, spit on it, and be like, don't worry, baby, my butt's already wet for you.
Oh, my God.
Right?
Wow.
And then the guy's like, whoa.
I think that guy would just lose his mind.
And that's fine. That's the whole
right?
point.
I think...
But I love those little tips.
And I think that's a really awesome thing to do for a guy. I love that.
Pre-lube that butthole.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to try that one day. I first have to... I don't know. I haven't really gotten, I still haven't had any... I can't even have regular vanilla sex, to be honest. So even just, this whole butt sex thing for me is like...
Well, I mean, that's a great goal to have. It could be in 10 years, Rhea.
Yeah,
whatever,
maybe 10 years from now.
It doesn't matter.
10 years from now, I'll be pre-lubing my butthole.
There
hopefully.
You go. Write that down.
Okay, so we did this episode last week about dick pics,
yeah,
which was really good. We were sick and tired of getting unsolicited dick pics. We like the ones that we agree to.
Yeah.
If the guy says, can I send you a dick pic? We're like, yes, that's wonderful. Send it our way. But if we don't want it, don't send it to us.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this really lovely listener had sent us a dick pic, basically.
She dick picked us.
It was amazing.
After all that.
I had to look at this guy's dick.
And Rhea's like forwarded me this email. She's like, this is so sweet. Like, this woman. And I was like scrolling down. I was like, Jesus, this is a long email. She must have gone through a lot. I'll read it later. And then at the bottom, it was a dick pic.
She sent us the dick pic that the guy had sent her.
Here's the picture he sent to me. It was so dramatic.
So she re-dick-picked
Do you want to look at it?
She re-dick picked the dick pic to us. So she blasted us with a dick pic, and we really appreciate the feedback.
But not the dick pic. She literally, and you know what? Obviously, dick pics was really about consent.
Yes, 100%.
And it's a big topic, and I loved all of everyone's feedback. Most of the feedback is just more questions, because the questions that come up are all about the gray areas. And like I said before, if there's a gray area, if you're confused, you need to ask more questions before you proceed.
Yeah, always ask.
You don't have control over whether someone's enjoying themselves, but if you get to a place where you're confused if this is okay or not, you can go back to square one and say, wait, I need to ask you, are you okay with this?
And we're not talking, we're talking online stuff here big time, because that's where it gets even more confusing, because you can't see the person. So it becomes very unclear sometimes, signals. You may be reading things all kinds of ways, right? That's why you need to ask even more questions when you're communicating with someone online or via text message, because there's a wall there, right? So if you're confused, ask more.
Yeah, 100%.
Big time.
Yeah.
Very, very important. And stop sending us dick pics, please.
Yes, please stop it.
Just stop.
All right, I gotta have some rosé.
Okay,
we're gonna sign off now. Oh man, yeah, I need a glass of wine. Thanks so much for listening. We would love to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at Rosa and Rhea.